Mafia boss saw Waitress defend his daughter from manager. What he did next stunned everyone. The little girl was crying in the bathroom, her face flushed with shame. 8-year-old Sofia Caruso had a running stomach, and despite her desperate attempts to make it to the restroom in time, she'd left a trail of mess across the polished marble floor of Bella Vista, New York's most exclusive Italian restaurant. Now she stood trembling, terrified of the angry voices outside, knowing she'd caused a scene that was making everyone stare. Manager Kyle Patterson exploded through the bathroom door like a hurricane of rage. He grabbed Sofia by her thin arm, yanking her out into the dining room, where 50 shocked diners watched in horror. "Look what you did." Kyle's voice was vicious, loud enough to silence every conversation. "You disgusting little brat. This is a 5-star establishment, not some filthy playground." Sofia sobbed harder, trying to pull away, but Kyle's grip tightened. "My daddy. I don't care who your daddy is. You just cost me a fortune in cleaning and probably scared away half my customers." Kyle shook her arm hard enough to make her stumble. "Where are your parents? Someone needs to teach you some manners." That's when Maya Torres moved. The 24-year-old waitress had been delivering appetizers to table 7 when the commotion started. She'd watched this little girl rush past, clearly sick, clearly desperate. She'd seen the accident happen and felt nothing but sympathy. Kids got sick. It happened. But watching her manager physically manhandle a terrified child, that crossed every line. Maya dropped her tray on the nearest table and crossed the dining room in 6 long strides. She stepped directly between Kyle and Sofia, her body becoming a shield. "Let her go. Right now." Kyle's face twisted with contempt. "Excuse me? Get back to work, Torres. This doesn't concern you. You have your hands on a child. That concerns everyone." Maya's voice was steady despite her hammering heart. "She's sick. She had an accident. She's 8 years old and terrified. Let her go." Before we see what happens next, click that subscribe button, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, and hit share. Because what happens in the next few minutes is going to change everyone's life forever. Now let's get back to the fire. Kyle released Sofia only to grab Maya's uniform collar instead, pulling her close enough that she could smell the coffee on his breath. "You're fired. You hear me? Fired. Clean out your locker and get out of my restaurant." "Your restaurant?" Maya didn't back down. "You're an employee, Kyle. Just like me. And employees don't get to abuse children." The entire dining room had gone silent. Phones were out recording. Other waitresses stood frozen, torn between supporting Maya and protecting their own jobs. Customers whispered to each other, shocked at the scene unfolding. In the corner booth, partially hidden by a decorative column, sat a man who'd been watching everything with eyes that missed nothing. Dante Caruso, one of New York's most powerful mafia bosses, had brought his daughter Sofia out for a rare public lunch. He'd been trying to give her a normal experience, away from bodyguards and bulletproof cars and the constant shadow of his reputation. He'd been in the restroom when Sofia got sick, had returned to find her gone and a commotion in the main dining room. And now he was watching a stranger defend his daughter with more courage than most of his armed soldiers had. Kyle shoved Maya backward. She stumbled, but didn't fall. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're nobody. A waitress will be lucky to get a job at a truck stop after I'm done with you. Then I'll work at a truck stop, but I won't work for someone who hurts children." Maya turned to Sofia, kneeling down to the girl's level. "Hey, sweetheart. It's okay. Accidents happen. Are you feeling better?" Sofia nodded through her tears, and something in her face shifted when she looked at Maya. Recognition that someone was protecting her, that someone cared. Kyle grabbed Maya's arm, trying to physically remove her from the restaurant. His fingers dug into her skin hard enough to leave bruises. "Get out. Now, before I call the cops and have you arrested for insubordination. Take your hands off her." The voice came from the corner booth. It was quiet, almost conversational, but it cut through the noise like a blade through silk. Everyone turned. Everyone froze. Dante Caruso stood slowly, his 6'2" frame unfolding with predatory grace. He wore an expensive suit that probably cost more than Maya made in 6 months. His dark hair was graying at the temples. His face was handsome in a dangerous way. and his eyes, cold, calculating, lethal, were locked on Kyle with an intensity that made the temperature drop 10 degrees. Kyle's hand fell away from Maya's arm like he'd been burned. The color drained from his face as recognition hit. Every employee at Bella Vista knew who really owned the restaurant, even if the public records showed it under a shell corporation. Kyle had met Dante exactly once during his hiring interview 5 years ago. He'd never forgotten those eyes. "Mr. Caruso." Kyle's voice came out strangled. "I didn't realize your daughter. You were just what?" Dante walked forward with measured steps. Each footfall echoed in the silent restaurant. "You were just grabbing my 8-year-old daughter by the arm hard enough to leave marks? You were just screaming at a sick child in front of a room full of witnesses? You were just assaulting an employee who tried to protect her. She made a mess. The health codes. She's a child with a stomach bug." Dante's voice never rose, but the fury beneath it was volcanic. "And instead of showing compassion, instead of handling the situation with discretion, you decided to traumatize her. In my restaurant, in front of me." Kyle's legs were shaking. Sweat beaded on his forehead. "I apologize. I didn't know she was your daughter. If you'd known, you would have treated her differently." Dante stopped 3 feet away. "So you only show respect to children when you know their parents have power? That's your defense." Maya stood frozen, her arms still throbbing where Kyle had grabbed her, watching this interaction with growing understanding. The little girl was this man's daughter, and this man was someone Kyle feared more than anything. Dante's attention shifted to Maya. His expression softened fractionally. "What's your name?" "Maya Torres, sir." Her voice didn't shake. She'd already lost her job defending this child. She had nothing left to fear. "Maya Torres." Dante repeated it like he was memorizing it. "You defended my daughter, knowing you'd be fired, knowing there would be consequences. What? Because it was the right thing to do. She's a little girl. She was scared and sick, and she needed someone to stand up for her." Maya met his eyes directly. "I'd do it again." Something flickered across Dante's face. Respect. Maybe something more. He turned back to Kyle, and all warmth vanished. "You're fired. Effective immediately. You have 1 hour to clear your office. Security will escort you out. If you're still on this property after 60 minutes, you'll be removed. Permanently." Kyle's face went from white to red. "You can't fire me. I've managed this place for 5 years. I built this restaurant's reputation. I have a contract. Your contract has a clause about conduct unbecoming. Assaulting a child and an employee qualifies." Dante pulled out his phone, pressed a button. "Security. Manager's office." Now, 2 large men in dark suits materialized from a back hallway within 30 seconds. Kyle looked between them and Dante, desperation replacing his earlier arrogance. "This is illegal. I'll sue. I'll go to the labor board. You'll do whatever you want." Dante's voice was ice. "But you'll do it somewhere else. And Kyle, every restaurant owner in this city is going to hear about what you did today. Good luck finding work." The security team flanked Kyle, guiding him toward his office. He went, but his parting shot was venomous. "You'll regret this, Caruso. Both of you." After he left, the dining room remained silent. 50 people had just witnessed something extraordinary. The owner of Bella Vista, a man most of them had never seen, had fired his manager for mistreating a child and a waitress. Dante knelt beside Sophia, who immediately threw her arms around his neck. "I'm sorry, Papa. I tried to make it to the bathroom. I tried. Shoot, Principessa. It's not your fault. You're sick. Accidents happen." Dante held her close, and Maya saw a side of this intimidating man she hadn't expected. Gentleness, love, vulnerability. He looked up at Maya over Sophia's shoulder. "You lost your job because of my daughter. That's not acceptable. How long have you worked here?" 2 years, sir." "What was your position?" "Waitress. Sometimes bartender on weekends." Dante stood, still holding Sophia. "As of right now, you're the new restaurant manager. Triple your current salary. Full benefits. You start Monday. Unless you have objections." Maya's mouth fell open. "I what?" "What? Because you have integrity. Because you stood up to a bully for someone who couldn't defend herself. Because my daughter needs to see that there are good people in this world." Dante's expression was serious. And because I need a manager I can trust. Someone who cares about people, not just profits. That's you. You don't even know me. I know enough. I know you risked everything for a child you'd never met. That tells me everything about your character. Dante shifted Sophia to his other arm. Think about it. You have until Monday to decide. Sophia looked at Maya with hopeful eyes. Please say yes. You're nice. Not like him. Maya felt tears threatening. She'd come to work today, expecting another grueling double shift. Now she'd been fired, rehired, and promoted to manager in the span of 10 minutes. By a man who was clearly more than just a restaurant owner. I'll be here Monday, Maya said softly. Dante nodded once. A promise sealed. Then he carried Sophia toward the exit, pausing only to address the room. Lunch is on the house today. For everyone. My apologies for the disturbance. As he left, the restaurant erupted in whispers. Maya stood in the center of it all, her arms still aching, her heart still racing, knowing that her life had just changed in ways she couldn't begin to understand. She defended a little girl from a bully. She had no idea she'd just caught the attention of one of New York's most dangerous men. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay in her tiny apartment staring at the ceiling, replaying everything that had happened. The little girl's terrified face, Kyle's vicious grip, the way that man, Dante Caruso, had moved through the restaurant like he owned not just the building, but everyone in it. The job offer that seemed too good to be true. By Sunday evening, Maya had done her research. 3 hours on Google, and she knew exactly who Dante Caruso was. Alleged connections to organized crime. Suspected head of the Caruso family operations. Legitimate businesses that probably laundered money from illegal enterprises. Restaurants, construction companies, waste management. The classic portfolio. She should run. Any sane person would run. But Maya kept thinking about Sophia's gray eyes, so scared and ashamed. Kept thinking about how Dante had held his daughter with such gentleness despite being a man who clearly terrified grown adults. Monday morning, Maya walked into Bella Vista at exactly 8 a.m. The staff was already whispering. Kyle's office, now her office, had been completely cleared out. New nameplate on the door, Maya Torres, general manager. Antonio Greco, Dante's second-in-command, was waiting inside. He was in his 50s, built like a tank, with calculating eyes that assessed Maya like she was a potential threat. Miss Torres, Mr. Caruso asked me to help with your transition. These are the personnel files, vendor contracts, financial reports. Antonio gestured to stacks of documents. Everything you need to run this place. Where's Mr. Caruso? Maya asked, sitting behind a massive desk that still smelled like Kyle's cheap cologne. He doesn't come in often. Prefers to remain low profile. Antonio's expression gave nothing away. But he'll be watching your performance closely. Very closely. The warning was clear. Impress the boss or suffer consequences. I understand. Maya opened the first file. When can I meet with the full staff? They're waiting in the main dining room. Now. Antonio almost smiled. They're nervous. Kyle ran this place through fear. Most of them expect you to be the same. Maya stood, straightening her new manager's blazer. Then let's show them different. The staff of 23 employees stood in clusters, whispering nervously. Waitresses who'd watched her defend Sophia. Cooks who'd heard the story secondhand. Bartenders who'd worked under Kyle's tyranny for years. They all watched Maya walk in with suspicious, hopeful, terrified eyes. My name is Maya Torres. As of today, I'm your manager. Maya's voice carried across the room. I know most of you are scared. Kyle ruled through intimidation and threats. I saw it. Some of you probably saw him grab me on Friday. That ends now. She paused, making eye contact with as many people as possible. Here's how we're going to run this restaurant. With respect, with fairness, with the understanding that we're a team, not a hierarchy of fear. Maya pulled out a notebook. I'm implementing immediate changes. Fair scheduling. No more being called in on your day off with 10 minutes notice. Tip pooling will be transparent and equitable. Anyone who has a problem or concern comes directly to me, and I promise to listen. A young waitress named Carmen raised her hand tentatively. What if we mess up? Kyle would dock our pay or threatened to fire us over tiny mistakes. Mistakes happen. We fix them, we learn, we move forward. Nobody gets punished for being human. Maya smiled. But disrespect, harassment, or mistreating customers, that's not tolerated. We protect each other here. Like family. The staff visibly relaxed. Some smiled. A few nodded approval. Antonio watched from the doorway with an unreadable expression. Over the next 3 weeks, Maya transformed Bella Vista. Staff morale skyrocketed. Service improved. Customer reviews went from mixed to overwhelmingly positive. Revenue increased 17%. And Maya worked harder than she'd ever worked in her life, determined to prove she deserved this impossible opportunity. Dante came in exactly once during those 3 weeks. Late afternoon, when a lunch rush had ended and the dinner prep was just beginning. He walked through like a king surveying his kingdom, nodding at staff who straightened nervously when they saw him. He found Maya in the kitchen, reviewing inventory with the head chef. "Mr. Caruso." Maya wiped her hands on a towel. "I wasn't expecting you." That's the point of surprise visits. But his tone wasn't harsh. "Walk with me." They moved to the private dining room, away from curious ears. Dante gestured for her to sit. Antonio materialized with espresso, serving them both before disappearing again. "The numbers are impressive," Dante said. "Revenue up. Staff retention perfect. Customer satisfaction higher than it's been in 2 years. You've exceeded expectations." "Thank you. The staff is incredible once they're treated with respect." Kyle would disagree. He thought fear was more effective than respect. Dante sipped his espresso. He was wrong. "You've proven that in 3 weeks." Maya studied him. Up close, Dante was even more intimidating. Sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that saw too much, presence that filled the entire room. But there was something else too. Exhaustion. Like he carried weight that never got lighter. "How is Sophia?" Maya asked. "Is she feeling better?" Dante's entire expression softened. "She talks about you constantly. Asks when she can see the nice lady who protected her. She drew you a picture. I have in my office." Something warm bloomed in Maya's chest. "She's a sweet kid. You're raising her well." "I'm trying. It's not easy." Dante set down his cup. "Her mother died 4 years ago. Cancer. Since then, it's been just us and a rotation of nannies who never last long. Sophia gets attached. They leave. It's a cycle I haven't figured out how to break." The vulnerability in his admission surprised Maya. This wasn't the terrifying mob boss everyone whispered about. This was a father struggling to raise his daughter alone. She needs stability, consistency, people who stay. Maya spoke carefully. "Maybe the problem isn't Sophia. Maybe the nannies leave because your world is scary to outsiders." Dante laughed, but it was bitter. "My world is scary to everyone, including me sometimes." Before Maya could respond, Antonio burst through the door, his phone pressed to his ear, his face grim. "Boss, we have a problem. The Morettas just hit the warehouse on 5th. 3 of our guys are in the hospital, and they left a message." Antonio's eyes flicked to Maya. "Should we discuss this privately? She's going to find out anyway if she works for me." Dante stood, his entire demeanor shifting from vulnerable father to cold strategist in seconds. "What's the message?" "They want a meeting. Tomorrow. Neutral ground. They're pushing back on the territory agreement." Antonio handed Dante his phone, showing photos that made Dante's jaw clench. "Set it up. Usual place. Full security." Dante turned to Maya. "I have to go. Continue what you're doing here. You're doing excellent work." He was gone before Maya could respond. Antonio and 2 other security men flanking him as they left through the back exit. Maya sat alone in the private dining room, understanding fully for the first time what world she'd stepped into. That night, Maya's mother called from the hospital. The cancer treatments were working, but the bills were crushing. Maya's promotion had helped, but it wasn't enough. She was drowning in medical debt that grew faster than she could pay it. "Mija, maybe it's time to stop treatment," her mother said weakly. "This is costing too much. You have your own life to live." "Mama, don't talk like that. We'll figure it out. I promise." But Maya didn't know how. Even with her new salary, the numbers didn't work. The next morning, Maya arrived at Bella Vista to find an envelope on her desk. Inside was a check for $50,000 and a note in elegant handwriting. Your mother's medical bills. Consider it a signing bonus. DC. Maya's hands shook as she stared at the check. This was too much. This crossed lines she wasn't sure she wanted to cross. She grabbed her phone and called the number Antonio had given her for emergencies. Miss Torres. Antonio answered immediately. I need to see Mr. Caruso. Now. It's important. He's in a meeting. A very important meeting. I don't care. I need to see him today. There was a pause. Then Antonio sighed. I'll see what I can do. 2 hours later, a black SUV pulled up to the restaurant. Antonio got out. Get in. The boss will see you for 5 minutes. That's all he can spare today. Maya climbed into the SUV and they drove to a construction site on the waterfront. Security was everywhere. Men in suits with obvious weapons under their jackets. The meeting Dante was in wasn't about restaurants or legitimate business. This was his other world. Antonio led her to a trailer serving as a temporary office. Dante sat behind a desk covered in blueprints and documents, looking more tired than Maya had ever seen him. Maya, what's so urgent it couldn't wait? No hostility, just exhaustion and concern. She held up the check. I can't accept this. Why not? Because it's too much. Because I don't know what you expect in return. Because Maya struggled for words. Because I don't want to owe you. Dante stood, moving around the desk. You don't owe me anything. Your mother is sick. You're working yourself to death, trying to save her. I have resources. I'm using them to help someone who helped my daughter. It's that simple. Nothing with you is simple. Maya's voice shook. You're not just a restaurant owner. I'm exactly who you think I am. Dante didn't flinch from the truth. I run operations that exist outside the law. I make decisions that keep me up at night. I have enemies who would hurt anyone close to me. But I also have the power to help people who deserve helping. Your mother deserves this. You deserve this. Take the money, Maya. Save your mother. And if working for me becomes too much, you can walk away anytime. I mean that. Maya wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. Why are you really doing this? Dante's expression softened. Because Sophia hasn't smiled the way she smiled at you in 4 years. Because you defended her when you had everything to lose. Because you're good, Maya. Genuinely good. And in my world, that's rare. I want to protect that. I want to help that. Let me. Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. She folded the check carefully. Thank you. I'll pay you back. Somehow, you already have. By being exactly who you are. 3 months passed. Maya's mother's health improved dramatically with proper treatment. Bella Vista thrived under Maya's management, becoming the most sought-after reservation in New York. And slowly, carefully, Maya became part of Dante's world in ways she never expected. Sophia was the bridge. The 8-year-old had attached herself to Maya with fierce determination. She'd show up at the restaurant after school with her bodyguard, doing homework at the bar while Maya worked. On weekends, Dante would bring her by, and the three of them would share quiet meals in the private dining room. Maya watched Dante transform around his daughter. The cold strategist became a patient father helping with math homework. The feared mob boss became a man, making silly voices while reading bedtime stories Sophia had brought to show Maya. You're good with her, Dante said one evening after Sophia had fallen asleep in a booth, exhausted from a school field trip. She's easy to love. Maya covered Sophia with her jacket. She's smart and funny and braver than she knows. She trusts you. That's rare for her. After her mother died, Sophia stopped letting people get close. Dante's voice was quiet, but you broke through those walls in weeks. Maybe because I'm not trying to replace her mother. I'm just trying to be her friend. Dante looked at Maya with something intense and complicated in his eyes. You're more than that. To both of us. Before Maya could respond, Antonio burst through the entrance, his face grim with urgency. Boss, we have a situation. The Morettas just grabbed Luca outside his apartment. They're demanding a meeting. Tonight. The warmth drained from Dante's expression instantly. He stood, already moving into crisis mode. Get Sophia home. Full security detail. And get our people together. We're going in prepared for war. Dante, Maya started, but he was already at the door. He paused, looking back. Lock the restaurant early tonight. Go home. Stay safe. Then he was gone. Maya didn't go home. She couldn't. Something felt wrong. She helped Sophia's bodyguard get the sleeping child to the car, then returned to Bella Vista to close up. The staff left one by one until Maya was alone, finishing paperwork in her office. That's when she heard the glass shatter. Maya's blood ran cold. She grabbed her phone, dialing Antonio's number as she moved toward her office door. It rang once, twice. Then the door burst open and 3 men she'd never seen before flooded in. Waitress. The lead man smiled, but it was predatory. We've been wanting to meet you. Caruso's new pet project. Maya's thumb hovered over the call button. I don't know what you want, but you need to leave. Now. We're not going anywhere. And neither are you. The man nodded to his companions. Grab her. Maya ran. She bolted from her office toward the kitchen, years of working restaurants making her fast and familiar with every exit. She heard them behind her, cursing and chasing. She grabbed a knife from the prep station, spinning to face them. I'm warning you. Stay back. They laughed. Caruso's got himself a fighter. That's cute. Maya didn't wait. When the first man lunged, she slashed with the knife. Caught his arm. Drew blood. He screamed and stumbled back. The second man grabbed her from behind, but Maya drove her elbow into his ribs, then stomped on his foot with her heel. He released her, and she ran again. She made it to the back door before the third man caught her, slamming her against the wall hard enough to knock the wind from her lungs. The knife clattered to the floor. His hand closed around her throat. That's enough games. You're coming with us. Caruso wants you safe? Too bad. You're our message to him now. Black spots danced in Maya's vision. She clawed at his hands, kicked uselessly. This was it. This was how she died. Because she'd gotten involved with a world she didn't understand. And the back door exploded inward. Dante moved like violence incarnated. He grabbed the man, choking Maya, and threw him across the kitchen with inhuman force. The man crashed into the prep station and didn't get up. Antonio and 4 other security men poured in behind Dante, weapons drawn. The 2 other Moretti enforcers tried to run. They didn't make it far. Within seconds, all 3 attackers were on the ground, disarmed, bleeding, and surrounded. Dante crossed to Maya, his hands gentle as they cupped her face. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? Maya couldn't speak. Her throat ached. Tears streamed down her face. She'd been seconds from death. Get them out of here, Dante said without turning. His voice was empty of all emotion. Take them somewhere we can have a conversation about boundaries. A long conversation. Antonio and the security team dragged the 3 men out through the back. Their screams echoed as the door closed. Maya didn't want to know what would happen to them. I'm taking you somewhere safe, Dante said, still holding her face gently. Can you walk? Maya nodded. Dante kept his arm around her as they left through the back, moving her quickly to an armored SUV. The drive was silent except for Maya's ragged breathing as adrenaline slowly drained away. They didn't go to her apartment. They went to Dante's private estate, a fortress disguised as a mansion in Westchester. Security at every entrance. Cameras everywhere. Guards patrolling the perimeter. Inside, the house was surprisingly warm. Lived in. Sophia's drawings covered the refrigerator. Her toys scattered across the living room. This was a home, not just a stronghold. Sophia's asleep upstairs, Dante said quietly, guiding Maya to the couch. I'll make tea. I don't want tea. Maya's voice came out hoarse, damaged. I want to know what the hell just happened. Dante sat across from her, and the exhaustion in his face was profound. The Morettis are pushing territory boundaries. They took one of my men earlier tonight. I went to negotiate his release. While I was gone, they sent a team for you. Why me? Because they've been watching. They know Sophia loves you. They know... Dante stopped, choosing words carefully. They know you matter to me. They think taking you gives them leverage. They almost killed me. Maya's hand shook. I stabbed one of them. I fought back, but there were 3 of them, and I couldn't. You did everything right. You survived until I got there. Dante's voice was fierce, and they will pay for putting their hands on you. I promise you that. Maya stood abruptly, pacing. I can't do this. I thought I could handle your world, but people just tried to kidnap me. Maybe kill me. Because I defended your daughter, and you gave me a job. I know. Dante stood too. And if you want out, I'll arrange protection until the Moretti situation is resolved. Then you can disappear. New city, new identity, enough money to start over. I'll make sure you're safe. What about Sophia? I can't just abandon her. She'll understand. Eventually. She's strong. But Dante's voice cracked slightly. She's lost too many people already. But I won't let you die because of my world. If leaving keeps you alive, then you leave. Maya stopped pacing, looking at this man who terrified the entire city, but who just offered to let her go despite what it would cost him. Despite what it would cost his daughter. What do you want? She asked quietly. Dante closed the distance between them. I want you to stay. I want you safe and protected and part of our lives. I want Sophia to keep smiling the way she smiles when you're around. And selfishly, I want you here because you make me remember there's more to life than territory and violence and revenge. You're asking me to accept that people will try to hurt me, to live with bodyguards and fear and constant danger. Yes, I know how insane that sounds. I know what I'm asking is unreasonable. Dante's hand lifted, gently touching the bruises forming on her throat. But I'm asking anyway, because I'm in love with you, Maya. I have been since you defended Sophia without caring about consequences. And I know you feel something too, or you wouldn't still be here. Maya's breath caught. She did feel something, had been feeling it for months, but refusing to name it because naming it made it real and dangerous and complicated. This is crazy, she whispered. Completely. Dante almost smiled. I could die. I'll burn the world down before I let that happen. Sophia could get hurt because people target her to hurt you. She was already a target, but now she has you protecting her too. That makes her safer, not less safe. Maya's mind spun. Every rational thought screamed at her to run. But her heart, her stupid, stubborn heart, wanted to stay. If I stay, things change, she said finally. I'm not just your employee or Sophia's friend. If I stay, I'm all in. Part of your world, your life, your family. I won't live in the shadows or pretend this isn't real. I don't want shadows. I want you beside me. Completely. Publicly. Whatever that means. Maya stepped closer, her decision crystallizing. Then I stay. But Dante, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Teach me to protect myself. Really protect myself. If I'm staying in this world, I need to know how to survive it. Her voice was steady despite the fear. I won't be helpless again. Dante's smile was fierce and proud. Starting tomorrow, I'll teach you myself. He pulled her close then, careful of her bruised throat, and kissed her with a desperation that spoke of fear finally released. Maya kissed him back, tasting safety and danger in equal measure. Upstairs, Sophia slept peacefully, unaware that the woman who defended her in a restaurant was now choosing to stay forever. Unaware that her father had found something he thought he'd lost when his wife died. Hope for a future that included love. Outside, security patrolled the grounds. Somewhere in the city, 3 Moretti enforcers were learning painful lessons about touching what belonged to Dante Caruso. And in a rival boss's office, plans were being made for retaliation. The war was just beginning. But for tonight, in this moment, Dante and Maya held each other and pretended the world outside didn't exist. 6 months later, Maya Torres was unrecognizable from the waitress who defended a little girl in a restaurant. She moved through Dante's world with confidence earned through training that had pushed her to every limit. Self-defense lessons from Dante's best security team. Weapons training at a private range. Situational awareness drills that taught her to read a room for threats in seconds. But it wasn't just combat skills. Maya had learned the business too. The legitimate operations and the shadowy ones. She understood the territory agreements, the family hierarchies, the delicate balance of power that kept New York from descending into all-out war. She'd become Dante's partner in every sense of the word. The Moretti situation had escalated before it resolved. 2 weeks after the attack on Maya, they'd made another move, targeting one of Dante's construction sites with arson. Dante's response had been surgical and devastating. Within a month, The Moretti family lost 3 key revenue streams and faced federal investigations into their operations that Dante's lawyers had carefully orchestrated. The final meeting between Dante and Anthony Moretti, the rival boss, had been tense but conclusive. Moretti had underestimated Dante's willingness to go scorched earth to protect what was his. They negotiated new boundaries with other family heads as witnesses. The agreement held. Barely. But the cost had been high. 2 of Dante's men were hospitalized. One would never walk again. And Maya lived with the knowledge that her presence in Dante's life made her a permanent target for anyone wanting to hurt him. She'd stopped managing Bella Vista directly, promoting Carmen to general manager while Maya took on a broader role overseeing all of Dante's legitimate restaurant holdings. It was partly strategic. Diversifying her involvement made her harder to target, but also practical. She was good at it. Revenue across all locations had increased 32% under her management. And Sophia. God, Sophia had bloomed. The scared 8-year-old had become a confident 9-year-old who called Maya Mama without hesitation. They'd had long talks about it. Maya, Dante, and Sophia together, making sure Sophia understood that Maya wasn't replacing her mother, but adding to her family. My first mama is in heaven, Sophia had said with the clarity only children possess. But you're my mama now. I can have 2 mamas. That makes me lucky, not sad. Maya had cried. Dante had held them both. And something that had started with a simple act of defending a child had grown into a family that was fierce and complicated and absolutely real. Now, on a crisp October evening, Maya stood in the private dining room of Bella Vista wearing a dress that cost more than her old monthly salary. The restaurant was closed for a private event, Dante's event. The one he'd been planning for weeks with a secrecy that made Antonio nervous and Sophia giggly with excitement. 50 people filled the room. Not just Dante's organization, but Maya's world too. Her mother, healthy and radiant, laughing with Sophia. Carmen and the restaurant staff, who become Maya's chosen family. Raphael, Dante's attorney, who'd helped Maya establish a foundation for abuse survivors using Dante's funding. Dr. Chun, the social worker who'd helped Isabella Santos, now consulting for Maya's foundation. Maya didn't know what tonight was about. Dante had been cryptic, just asking her to trust him, and were something beautiful. So here she stood, surrounded by everyone who mattered, wondering what her dangerous, complicated, wonderful man had planned. Dante entered from the kitchen, and the room fell silent. He wore a black suit that made him look like sin incarnate, but his eyes when they found Maya were soft with emotion that took her breath away. He crossed directly to her, taking her hands. Maya Torres, 6 months ago, you did something that changed my life. You defended my daughter when everyone else looked away. You risked everything for a child you didn't know. Dante, what? Maya started, but he squeezed her hands gently, asking for patience. In the months since, you've become the center of my world. You've loved my daughter like she's yours. You've learned my business, earned my crew's respect, and somehow made me believe I could be more than just the monster everyone thinks I am. Dante's voice was steady but thick with emotion. You've made me want to be better, to build something that lasts, to leave Sophia a legacy that's more than just fear and power. He released her hands and pulled a small velvet box from his jacket. The room gasped collectively. Maya's heart stopped. Dante knelt in front of her, in front of everyone, this man who made grown soldiers nervous, humbling himself completely. I'm not a good man, Maya. I've done things that haunt me. I've made choices that can't be undone. And my world is dangerous in ways that will never completely go away. He opened the box, revealing a ring that caught the light like captured fire. But I love you with everything I have. And I'm asking you to marry me. To be Sophia's mother legally. To be my wife. To build this complicated, dangerous, beautiful life with me. Tears streamed down Maya's face. She looked at this man who'd been her boss, her protector, her teacher, and somewhere along the way became the love of her life. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes. 1,000 times yes. The room erupted in cheers. Dante slid the ring on her finger, a perfect fit like everything about them, and stood, pulling her into a kiss that tasted like promises and forever. Sophia rushed forward, throwing her arms around both of them. "You're really going to be my mama forever?" "Forever," Maya confirmed, holding this child who became hers in every way that mattered. The party that followed was unlike anything Maya had imagined. Tough security men cried into their champagne. Her mother danced with Antonio, who blushed like a teenager. Carmen made a speech about believing in fairy tales again. And Dante never left Maya's side, his hand constantly finding hers like he needed to confirm she was real. But the best moment came late in the evening, after the cake was cut and most guests had drifted into comfortable conversations. Sophia found Maya sitting in one of the booths, taking a moment to process everything. "Mama Maya?" Sophia climbed into the booth beside her. "Can I tell you something?" "Always, baby." When that manager grabbed me and yelled at me, I was so scared. I thought nobody would help me because my papa wasn't there and I was all alone. Sophia's gray eyes, so like her father's, were serious. "But then you came. You stood between me and the scary man. You protected me when you didn't have to." "I'll always protect you," Maya said softly. "That's what family does." "I know, and that's why I asked Papa to marry you." Sophia grinned. "I told him if he didn't ask you, I would find another papa who would." Maya laughed through fresh tears. "You did not." "I did. I told him weeks ago. I said, 'Papa, Mama Maya makes you smile, and she makes me feel safe, and if you don't marry her, you're being silly.'" Sophia's impression of seriousness was adorable. "He said I was right. And Papa is always right, so that means I was super right. Your logic is flawless." Maya pulled Sophia close. "Thank you for sharing your papa with me. I know it wasn't easy after losing your first mama." "My first mama would like you," Sophia said with absolute certainty. "She'd be happy Papa found someone good, someone brave, someone who protects us." Dante appeared, sliding into the booth across from them. "Are my girls conspiring without me?" "Sophia was just telling me she's the real mastermind behind this engagement." "She is. She's been planning our wedding for months." Dante smiled at his daughter. "Show Maya." Sophia pulled a folded paper from her dress pocket. It was a detailed drawing, stick figures of Dante and Maya in wedding clothes, Sophia between them in a flower girl dress, and carefully written words, "My forever family." Maya's heart cracked open. "Sophia, this is beautiful. I drew it after you stayed that night when the bad men came. I knew then you wouldn't leave us, that you were brave enough to stay even when things got scary." Sophia looked between her parents. "Are you going to have babies? Because I'd like a little brother or sister. Or both." Sophia. Dante's face flushed, which was hilarious coming from a mob boss. "What? I'm just planning ahead. I'm going to be the best big sister." Maya laughed until she cried, holding on to this child who'd given her more than just a family. She'd given her purpose, love, and a future she'd never dared to imagine. 3 months later, they married in a private ceremony at Dante's estate. Sophia served as maid of honor, taking her duties very seriously. Maya's mother walked her down the aisle. Antonio stood as Dante's best man and cried through the entire ceremony. The guest list was small but powerful, family from both worlds acknowledging this union. Judge Patricia Morales, who'd heard Isabella Santos's case and become a friend to Maya's foundation, officiated. She spoke about love that defied expectations, about families built from choice rather than blood, about second chances and brave beginnings. When Dante kissed his bride, Sophia cheered louder than anyone. "That's my mama," she announced to the crowd. "The one who defended me. Now she's my mama forever." Maya's foundation grew over the next year. They helped 17 women and children escape abusive situations, providing legal support, safe housing, and protection when needed. Some situations required only resources and legal aid. Others required the kind of protection that only Dante's organization could provide. The work was dangerous. Maya dealt with abusers who'd lost control of their victims, with men who used violence and intimidation to maintain power. But she also had Dante's full support and resources, and she learned to fight back in ways that kept both her and the people she protected safe. Bella Vista became more than just a restaurant. It became a symbol, the place where a waitress had defended a child and started a revolution. The staff knew that if they or someone they loved needed help, Maya would provide it. No questions asked. Kyle Patterson, the manager who'd started everything, had become a cautionary tale. After being fired from Bella Vista, he'd been blacklisted from every decent restaurant in New York. He tried to sue for wrongful termination, but video footage of him grabbing an 8-year-old child had destroyed his case. Last Maya heard, he was working at a chain restaurant in New Jersey, bitter and broken. She felt no satisfaction in his downfall, only relief that he couldn't hurt anyone else. 2 years after that day in the restaurant, Sophia turned 11. She was confident, kind, and fiercely protective of the people she loved. She volunteered at Maya's foundation on weekends, helping organize donations and talking to younger kids who needed to see that life got better after trauma. And on a warm spring afternoon, Maya stood in the bathroom of their home, staring at a positive pregnancy test, her hands shaking with joy and terror. Sophia burst through the door without knocking. "Mama, can I oh? Is that what I think it is?" Maya turned, tears streaming down her face. "You're going to be a big sister." Sophia's scream of joy brought Dante running from his office. He found his daughter dancing around his wife, both of them crying and laughing. When Maya showed him the test, he pulled them both into his arms and held on like they were the only things keeping him grounded. "I love you," he whispered into Maya's hair. "Both of you. All of you. All of us," Maya corrected, touching her still flat stomach. That evening, the three of them, soon to be four, sat in the private dining room of Bella Vista. The same room where Dante had first thanked Maya for protecting Sophia. The same restaurant where everything had changed. Sophia was sketching plans for the nursery. Dante was making quiet phone calls about increased security. And Maya sat between them, her hand resting on her stomach, thinking about the journey that had brought her here. She'd been a waitress drowning in medical debt, working herself to exhaustion with no hope for anything better. Then a little girl had gotten sick in a restaurant. A manager had been cruel, and Maya had made a choice to defend someone who couldn't defend herself. That choice had cost her a job, but given her a life, had brought her into a dangerous world, but surrounded her with love, had led her to a man who was feared across New York, but who held his daughter with infinite gentleness, had shown her that family wasn't about blood or conventional definitions. It was about showing up, protecting each other, and choosing love even when it was complicated. "What are you thinking about?" Dante asked, noticing her distant expression. "I'm thinking about how one moment can change everything. How defending Sophia that day led to all of this." Maya looked at her family, her fierce, complicated, beautiful family. How sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stand up for someone who needs you, even when you're scared, even when there are consequences. "And I'm thinking that choosing you was the smartest thing I've ever done," Dante said softly. Sophia looked up from her drawings. "And I'm thinking my baby brother or sister is so lucky, because they get the best mama in the world. The one who's brave enough to fight bad guys and love us even though Papa's world is scary. Your world too now," Maya reminded her. "We're all in this together." "Forever," Sophia agreed. "Forever," Dante echoed. And Maya, looking at her husband and daughter and touching the life growing inside her, knew with absolute certainty that she'd make the same choice again, would defend that little girl in the restaurant, would step into this dangerous world, would choose love over safety every single time. Because some promises were worth keeping, some battles were worth fighting, and some families were worth every risk. If this story touched your soul, if you felt Maya's journey from waitress to warrior, if you believe that one act of courage can change everything, then do this right now. Smash that subscribe button, because we're telling stories about real bravery, real love, and real family. Hit that like, drop a comment telling me what moment hit you hardest, and share this with someone who needs to know that defending others makes you a hero.